Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you are. Hello, thank you for watching my videos. It's Mike. It's February 18th, 2009. So I thought I would give you some funny stories to start off my report. Unfortunately, there doesn't appear to be many of them. However, our politicians are providing no end of amusement in what's going on over here. So I've got two. It was a toss-up between them, so I said, what the heck, I'll include both of them. Now the first is Gordon Brown. Yesterday, Gordon Brown was asked, "What do you think about this this idea of a global financial regulator? Would you like the job?" He basically declined, which is probably a good thing. Making Gordon Brown the global financial regulator is like handing a machine gun to a 2-year-old, standing back and watching what happens. The other wacky, weird political thing going on was Lord Mandelson. Lord Mandelson is the UK's business secretary. I'm not entirely sure what that job entails. However, an example of what it's all about was given yesterday when he was speaking. Now, The Guardian reports that apparently he used the F word while referring to the owner of Starbucks. I've got it linked over here. Essentially, the Starbucks owner basically had said, along the lines of, let me just pull it up here, sorry. Angered by remarks by the company's chairman, Howard Schultz, who said the UK was in an economic spiral with very, very poor consumer confidence. Mandelson accused him of spreading unnecessary misery and speaking out of turn. Oh, how very un-British. Yeah, so... nice one, Lord Mandelson. I think you're losing it down there in Downing Street. Chill out, people. Okay, real news. Texas mogul in the glare as huge fraud is alleged. Right, so this is the story about Robert Allen Stanford, who is actually a Sir. He was granted a knighthood by the Prime Minister of Antigua. So, yeah, he is Sir Stanford. Now, in North America, he's basically known as a financier who's thrown lots of money into all kinds of things, and apparently he's accused of a $9.2 billion fraud by the Securities Exchange Commission. So, now, why do we care over here in the UK? Well, take a look at some of the headlines. Cricket tycoon Sir Allen Stanford charged over shocking £5.6 billion investment fraud. Well, that simply isn't cricket. Yes. To the rest of the world, outside of North America, the world's most popular game is cricket. Certainly over in India, they go completely mental over it, and Australia. Yes, good old Ashes. I do enjoy watching the Ashes. For North Americans who don't understand the rules of cricket, you probably never will, but I will include a link to the ECB, the English Cricket Board, who defined the rules of cricket. Well, anyway, Sir Allen Stanford basically reinvigorated the popularity of cricket by financing a number of very prominent 2020 cricket series games, but I guess that is no more. So for sports fans out there who enjoyed their cricket over here in England, I'm afraid there's not going to be as much of it. Now, of course, I've included some other links here. Latest going-ons with Madoff. Latest goings-on with Satyam, latest goings-on with a city trader here in London who was arrested on Friday, Terry Freeman, arrested over a £40 million Ponzi fraud, allegedly. So, yeah, so that should give you some interesting reading if you're into that stuff. Now, next thing, credit rating of Britain is, they are threatening to downgrade it. This is Standard & Poor's threatening to downgrade Britain's AAA credit rating. This is not a very good thing at all. The Standard & Poor's and Moody's, etc., ratings agencies rate the viability of various government debt. And they downgraded Greece, they downgraded Spain, they probably downgraded Ireland by now. I don't know about that one for sure, but at any rate, credit default swaps are the way to measure relative value and how risky other people think government debt is. So the credit default swaps on UK sovereign debt, which acts as insurance for the borrowers, have risen sharply from 106.9 at the beginning of the year beginning of, well, this last year, I guess it is, to, anyway, it doesn't really matter, 158.6. That's a higher rating than Spain. Their rating is 156.8. So basically people think that the British government is more likely to default on its bonds than Spain is. Wow, is all I can say to that one. What does this mean to Americans? Well, of course, the reason the credit rating for Britain is being dropped is because we've nationalized some of our banks. So what does this mean for the States? Right. Roubini tells Geithner to nationalize U.S. banks. Nouriel Roubini, I believe is how you pronounce his name, has told Tim Geithner he must nationalize some of America's banks. And the total bill of a U.S. bailout take it up to $2 trillion, according to one of the world's most prominent economists. And basically he comes out in a letter to the Telegraph. Many U.S. banks are insolvent, even the major ones. Yep. Other big news in the States. GM and Chrysler gone back to Congress and said, listen, we're going to need some more money. Worst case scenario, we're going to need another 30, 35, 40 billion dollars on top of the 16 billion you already gave us. Oh boy. Or whatever it was. Not good news. What does this mean worldwide? Right. Saab may go bust in 10 days, warns GM. Basically, Saab is GM's arm in Sweden. I believe what this one is about is they're basically trying to pressure the Swedish government to provide some bailout funds to Saab so that Saab can continue going. And so far, the Swedish government appears to rule out the prospect of state support for now. In the States, the GM trying to consolidate things basically is thinking about getting rid of some brands. They're going to get rid of Saturn for sure. They're considering what to do about Pontiac. They're going to get rid of the brand name. And so you'll be left with Chevrolet, Cadillac, Buick, and GMC trucks as the GM brands. So that's kind of interesting. Now, far more worrying is this one. Bank will write to Darling to begin printing money. Okay, minutes of the banks, so the Bank of England have a monthly meeting. A minute of the bank's rate-setting meeting earlier this month showed that they voted 8-1 to cut rates to 1%, and agreed with Mervyn King, the bank's governor, should write to Alistair Darling to seek permission to embark on quantitative easing, otherwise known as printing money. Now, linked in this article and also included here is a link to Robert Cole's Recessionosaurus, which is quite humorous. He basically spells out, okay, what are these things? Bad bank, what's that? What's a debtor? What's deflation? So on and so forth. And basically the point being that the conversations down the pub are no longer about football, they're now about economy. And you have to, if you want to keep up, here's some good pointers. So everyone have a look at it. It's good for a laugh, actually, halfway through. Parts of it are just hilarious. One thing that is quite funny in this and quite true, quantitative easing, what is that all about? A posh way of referring to the process of printing money. Now, there's all kinds of different ways of doing this in economic theory, but let's just go for a nice simple explanation that even a 9-year-old gets. Showed this to my children on the weekend, and they got it right away. Maybe you will too. Okay, so I've got some Monopoly money here. There's actually, I'll start with something a simple number. So I've got 200 Monopoly dollars or pounds or whatever they are. So they're M dollars, we'll call them. They're not real, of course, and I won't go into the whole thing what backs it up. Although you should be aware that no currencies in the world of any real value are based on gold anymore. They're now based upon the productive output of the countries involved. But anyway, let's say this is the economic monetary supply for a country. 200 M dollars, we'll call them. So, and everyone's quite happy, and they go and they buy and they sell things, and they're all happy, happy, glory, glory, and all that stuff. So that's how much money's in the economy. Now the government comes along and says, oh dear, we've got a bit of a crisis. We're going to need to make some more money. So we're going to print some more. Okay. Now, Whether that printing of money actually really is printing money, or whether it's merely injecting money into the system, the effect is basically the same. If you start with $200, M dollars, and you add another 200 M dollars into the monetary supply, you now have, how many? 400 M dollars. What is the value of one of these? Now, before they added the extra 200 M dollars, this was worth 50 M dollars. Okay, you got 4 of them, right? You got 4. You add another 4. So the value of this was one quarter of the monetary system. Now, you add some more, the value of this is 1/8 of the monetary system. This is where the word inflation really comes from. Inflation, if you look back at the source of the word, comes from the Latin. Inflare is its basic root, which in Latin basically means blow into, blow up, expand, etc. So this is expansion of the monetary system. Now the lies they've been telling you about CPI and RPI and all this other nonsense about consumer price inflation and all that nonsense is completely fictitious. What people really need to be looking at is what's called monetary supply inflation. What does that do to the existing money in the system? And this would explain to you quite easily why a dollar today is worth roughly 6 cents in 1933 money. If you had a dollar in 1933, it's now worth a heck of a lot more. Anyway, there's some more links, there's more information. Worrying news in Greece. The police there defused a car bomb this morning outside of a bank. Things are taking a horrible turn in Greece, and people should be watching that. And last bit, I've included a link to a video. Please take a look at that. I'd like to hear people's comments. I know I'm going to get all kinds of nastiness, and I really don't care. And finally, Globe and Mail. The Americans now have an unmanned probe that is a drone, rather, that is flying up and down the border near Manitoba. The U.S. claim it's needed for security. Oh. Yeah. Peace, love, understanding. I'll speak to you later. Bye.